This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-new Prologue EV, there's a lot that can impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC on a Monday in which we enter the final week of the transfer window. And either there will be joy or there will be much more wetting of underpants and many more tantrums. But today we have the news that a deal is finally agreed for Giorgi Mamardashvili. The Georgian goalkeeper will be joining the Reds. It has been reported by a couple of different outlets, and the fee will be £29.6 million. Looks like there'll be a sell-on clause in there, though it's not a big sell-on clause. And he will spend 1 year on loan with Valencia, and then I suppose we see what happens from there. My guess is he spends the second year on loan in the Premier League, probably with Bournemouth or somebody like that. And then again, we reassess after year two. But this is a really good signing for the long term. This is the best young goalkeeper in the world, but under 23s. A giant of a human, a great shot stopper, very much in the Jan Oblak. Actually, I would say more Thibaut Courtois than Jan Oblak because of the size. Oblak is a smaller goalkeeper and much more reliant on reflexes. Courtois has great reflexes as well, but uses his size to dominate his box in a way that Oblak can't. And I think Mamardashvili is a lot closer to the Courtois model than the Oblak model. And I think that's brilliant because, look, you can't go wrong. Oblak's been one of the best goalkeepers in the world for the better part of 10 years. Courtois the same. Obviously, we already have the best keeper in the world, and we got very positive comments from him over the weekend, talking about how he's very happy at Liverpool, how he wants to stay at the club, how he's even open to extending his contract. He turned down Saudi Arabia and the money they have to offer him. So look, if Ali's willing to stay, great. I mean, remember, Mamardashvili's only 23. So even if Ali were to stay 4 more years, Mamardashvili would only be 27. And we'd still have him under contract for a couple of years. And at 27, with plenty of experience, ready to walk in and replace Ali in 4 years' time, I mean, he might not be overly happy about it if he does have to spend 3 years, say, on loan and a year as the backup. But the promise of what follows, I think, would keep him fairly happy with things. Like, you get to become number one at one of the biggest clubs in the world. You're going to earn massive money. You're going to have the opportunity to compete for the biggest honours, play at Anfield. What's not to like, really? So I'm very happy with this signing. I think it's long overdue, obviously. We are in the final week of the window, and he's the first one coming in the door. And he doesn't even come in the door, really. He sort of walks up to the door, has a look at it, and he'll come back in 12 months. But all things considered, we got him for the price we wanted to get him for. When you look around the Premier League and see some of the prices being mentioned for certain goalkeepers, I think I saw 24 million for James Trafford earlier on, which is just wild. Arsenal were looking for £35 million for Aaron Ramsdale this summer, and there's rumours that the loan he might go on to Wolves could come with a £40 million buy option, which, like, let's be fair. Aaron Ramsdale for £40 million. United paid over 50 for Onana last summer. Like, to get a goalkeeper of this promise at that age for that price is just brilliant work, regardless of whether it helps us now or not. It is really good work. But obviously there is still business to do, and it needs to get done. We need a 6. That is screamingly evident to anybody with eyeballs. And we need a left back, which is also screamingly obvious to anybody with eyeballs. And they've got 5 days, including today. Now, there's deals out there that can be done, for sure. There's no question there's deals out there that can be done. And I was thinking more and more about Locatelli. As I rewatched yesterday's game this morning, I was thinking more and more about Locatelli and his ability to break lines with passes. And look, I'm not going to go into Gravenberch. People can fawn over him all they want. The fact is that of the 70-odd passes he completed 2 progressive passes. 2. And people can wank over, oh, but he had 9 passes into the final third. Did he really, though? Or were they passes out to the fullbacks? Far too much sidewards, far too much backwards, not enough progressive passing, which hurt our build-up play and meant that Alexis wasn't getting involved enough in the build-up, because the role of the first receiver is to find the second receiver. And he wasn't doing that. He played, as a 6, he played a good 8 performance in terms of what he did. And that's fine, because that's what he is. He is an 8. He's not a 6. But let's not pretend he was superb or phenomenal or sensational or any of these other words that are thrown around. As a 6, he was 6 out of 10. But as an 8, it would have been a strong performance. But we need more in the build-up. And that was the whole purpose of going for Zubimendi, was to find someone that could help us in the build-up. Someone that could be that first receiver, get on the ball, and pick their way through an opposition team. And even with the advantage we had in midfield yesterday, we didn't manage that. Not just him. Alexis didn't manage it either. Trent struggled a little bit when he went central too. Much more effective off the right. Someone like a Locatelli could make a huge difference in there. And look, there are some flaws to his game. He's not an elite level player, but he is a very good player. And he's only 26. And if you could get him at a decent price, I think that's a signing worth making. There was talk that Tottenham might be looking at him for 25 million. If that's real, if that price is accurate, that would make a ton of sense for us. As a player that comes in now as the starter, and in 12 months, maybe we bring somebody else in and he becomes what Endo is right now as the backup. Another name doing the rounds a little bit is Fabian Ruiz, who apparently is available from PSG for around the same type of price. Now, he's a little bit older. He's 28. And he's less natural in that deeper role, but he has played there a lot over his career. He played there when he was at Betis. He played there a bunch for Napoli, and he's played there a bit for PSG. So for sure, he's a player that we could target. Someone that we could look to bring in. He was brilliant in the Euros. He's good defensively. He's good all round. And he's a very competent passer of the ball. So one of those two could make a lot of sense as somebody that you bring in now as the starter for this season. And then in 12 months, you find whoever that A-list 6 is that you want. And maybe it's a case where it's Boubacar Kamara, but because he's injured now, we can't go for him. So maybe you bring him in 12 months. And he becomes the starter, and Ruiz or Locatelli become squad players. They'd be really good squad players to have. Better than the depth midfielders we have now. There's options out there for that position. There's a ton of options out there for the left-back role. Again, I think it's likely that they're looking for more of a defensive left-back. Someone like Hincapié just makes a ton of sense because he's also strong in attack. He loves those underlapping runs. He makes them from centre-back, let alone from left-back. There's obviously, there's a lot of talk about Bastoni. I don't think that's going to happen. He's made it pretty clear he has no intention of leaving Inter. There's a lot of talk about Branthwaite. And just like, have you met Everton fans? Imagine the meltdown if they sold. They might actually storm the stadium and take control of it. Did anyone see the video of the Everton fans at the train station in London screaming abuse at their own players? Just a mental bunch. That was over a defeat. Imagine selling the best player to the biggest rival. The club that, Everton fans' primary identifying trait in life, other than being miserable bastards because they've never won anything in most of their lifetime, their defining trait is their hatred of the Reds. That's it. They live not so much to support Everton, but to hate Liverpool, which is great. They hate a club named after their city, which is just wonderful. They would lose all sense and reason. There would be no talking them down. They may well burn Goodison to the ground and then march on Finch Farm. I just don't see that Everton could sell him, even with their financial predicament, and they are in the shit. They are in major trouble financially. And one of the reasons, the biggest reason they can't find a buyer, is the debt that is hanging over that club. Like, they owe a fortune on the stadium. Then they owe separate amounts to MSD, the investment company of Michael Dowling family. They owe another fortune to 777, who went through a full year of, we're going to take the club over, just kept loaning them money to pay wages and stuff, and all that money needs to be repaid. So obviously John Textor's currently in talks to buy the club, and he's going through their accounts, but two others have had this period of exclusive negotiations, and both of them walked away once they had a deep look at the accounts. Now, he hasn't as yet, and he is trying to sell his stake in Crystal Palace, but I don't think that's actually linked to the Everton thing as much as he just wants to sell that because he wants to outright buy a Premier League club. But I'd be willing to bet that if Leicester City came on the market tomorrow, he would drop Everton and go and buy them. If Forest came on the market, if Southampton came on the market, if a club that wasn't sinking under huge debt came on the market, he would jump at buying them over buying the Ev. He wanted to buy Palace. He said it himself in a recent statement. He wanted to buy Palace outright. And I think Harris and whatever the other fella's name is, they were willing to sell, but one or two other partners weren't willing to sell, so he couldn't get full control of the club. So now he wants to sell his shares there because he wants to outright own a club. But I'd be willing to bet that he'd buy most other clubs, even smaller clubs than the Ev, like Leicester, like Forest, like Southampton, like Bournemouth. If he could buy them with no debt, he'd definitely buy them over Everton, especially considering they're all much better run than Everton. They all have much less to do than Everton. Like, you walk into Everton, you're talking about a top-to-bottom rebuild. And it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do at all. And yeah, one of the ways they could ease some of their financial problems is selling Jarrad Branthwaite. But to us, I just don't see it. Nico Schlotterbeck's another one whose name comes up. And obviously, him, Bastoni, and Branthwaite are all kind of 6'3", 6'4". They're more a traditional centre-back build. And with them, you're sort of looking at them and thinking, right, well, you're the left-back for the next couple of years, and then you become the Virgil replacement. Whereas someone like a Hincapié, an Inacio, a Lukeba, they're just the left-back. They're not going to be the Virgil replacement. They don't have the size to be that player. But I'm not worried about a Virgil replacement because I don't think Virgil's going anywhere. A lot of people got wrapped up in some of what he said yesterday, but the most important thing he said was, I'm calm. So Virgil's not one to give anything away. And I would guess it's been relayed to him either directly or through his agent, but most likely directly. Look, let us just get through this window and then we'll sit down and we'll talk contracts. But for now, we just need to sort this. And he's said it himself, we need some signings in. You know, we do need players in to freshen things up a bit. So I'm fine with him. There was a lot of talk yesterday about Trent and his facial expression. Trent generally has a face like a slapped arse. So I wouldn't buy too much into it. He's not the type of person who walks around with a big smile on his face. You know, he's not a cheerful person like me, for example. That is a joke, by the way. But I wouldn't pay too much heed to any of it. Mo looks thrilled with life, so that's always good. And I feel like all those deals will get done once the window's closed. I think people just need to be a bit more patient. Like, the contracts don't need to be done this month. They can be done next month or in October if need be. But there is more pressing items on the agenda right now.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
At BlueNile.com, you can find endless ways to make your moments sparkle. From classic and timeless jewelry gifts to creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams, all at prices you won't find at a traditional jeweler. And right now, you can save up to 40% on fine jewelry and 25% on engagement ring settings during the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale, going on now. Go to BlueNile.com to shop the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale and save up to 40%. That's BlueNile.com.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
It's funny, when you look around the Premier League, there's a lot of clubs with still quite a lot of business to do. It's not just us. And yeah, some of them have signed players, but some of them haven't done a whole lot. Some of them have only really done one or two signings that don't really improve them all that much. Like, how have Newcastle strengthened in this window? Don't really see it with them. Like, you look at City, they got Savinho in. He's a very talented player, but he's basically an academy promotion. And that was announced in, like, March or something. And they got Gundogan back. But they lost Alvarez. I think they've gotten worse. Now, they look very formidable. And they will look very formidable as long as that big freak up front is fit. And as long as KDB is healthy in midfield, they're going to be really, really good. And remember, they won those two games very comfortably without Rodri, which is ominous. But we've won our two games very, very comfortably as well without a number 6. So, you know, what have we got to be worried about? Like, we're already seeing a better version of Szoboszlai, a better version of Diaz. Trent back to what Trent was. Ibu on Sunday, monstrous. Absolutely monstrous display. So we can improve just by certain players either getting back to their best level or developing a bit or natural progression or being used better. We can improve with better health. I mean, look, we got 2 better performances this season from Gravenberch than we got in all of last season against real opposition. He played well in some early cup games against lower league teams and in Europe against garbage, but they're probably his 2 best Premier League performances, certainly the 2 best performances back-to-back. So that's an improvement. There's more to come from this squad as a whole. And if we keep them fit, which is clearly the mandate and clearly something they're working under. We've played 2 games now. Curtis Jones did miss out at the weekend, but it's something minor. It's not anything to be too concerned about. All the fretting over Gerald Kwanzaa proved to be a nonsense. He was on the bench. He was fine. Everybody else has been fit. Everybody else. Last season, we rarely had a game with less than 5 injuries. I'd say over the last 2 years, we've rarely had a game where there hasn't been at least 5 players either injured or carrying something. Now, some of those players are gone. Obviously, Thiago's gone, Matip is gone. The summer before, Naby left and Ox left, and those were 4 kind of perma-injured players. But this group seems maybe it's a bit more robust. Maybe it's a bit more robust. And we haven't lost anything in the market yet. We've sold well. We've moved on players that aren't good enough. We've loaned out players that aren't ready. And I just think everything's really positive for us at the moment. Yeah, we need signings. We need signings. Nobody is saying we don't. Absolutely nobody is saying we don't need signings. But we've also got ways to improve internally from last season, where 3rd was the floor and we finished 3rd. This season, we can do better. We just can. We look really controlled. We've given up 0.8 XG in our 2 games thus far. And yes, it's Ipswich and yes, it's Brentford. Go and look at the Brentford game at Anfield last season. And then come back to me. Go and look at how many games we went through last season where we came away talking about how Alisson had saved us over and over and over again, where Alisson had to deal with multiple one-on-ones in a game. It was non-stop last year. We're 2 games in and we've kept back-to-back clean sheets. Do you know how many times in the Premier League we kept back-to-back clean sheets last season? Once. We beat Everton 2-0 and we beat Forest 3-0. And that's it. And they were both garbage. Now, you can make the argument that neither of the teams we've played this week were particularly good. But also, go back and watch the Everton game and the Forest game. They caused us more trouble in those games than we've been caused in the last 2 games. It was harder for us to beat Everton than it's been in either of the past 2 games. We really struggled in that one. Took a Mo Salah penalty on 75, and then Mo scored again on 97. And you remember they had Ashley Young sent off, and Dyche was fuming afterwards. But we're 2 games in, we've kept 2 clean sheets. Last season, we really struggled to keep clean sheets. Like, we didn't keep our first one until the Villa game in game 4. 10 games in, we had 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 clean sheets in all the last season in the league. 10. Got 2 already. We're more controlled. We're more composed. We've more defined patterns of play. We just look better coached than we did last season or the year before. We just do. There's a bit more balance to the team. We're not seeing our defenders left swamped with numbers. We haven't yet had a counterattack where we've been outnumbered. We're getting players back. We're cutting off passing lanes. We're doing the things we used to do back in 2016 to 2020. We're not as exciting as that. We're more controlled. But there's similarities off the ball to what we were back then. And the weekend was really nice because we saw Luis Diaz shut a lot of people up with a brilliant goal and a good assist from Mo. Very unfortunate not to get himself a second goal and Mo an assist. After great work by Mo down the right, cut back for Diaz. It's a really nice strike to the bottom corner. And credit where it's due, Mark Flecken makes a great save. On This Is Anfield, they've got a piece up about Mamardashvili. Medical being done today. According to one of the local Valencia journalists, the medical's already done. So that's looking like it's all good. Arne Slot injects calmness, but Trent criticism unwarranted. Slot teases Carragher. That was good to see. Trent reaction and FSG. John Henry was at the game. Liverpool have the highest XG and the lowest XG against in the Premier League after 2 games. These are the stats that Arsenal fans spend all of last season boxing the bellies off themselves about. So that's nice. Jamie Carragher explains why atmosphere felt strange. It sounded shit, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a game we expect to win. The atmosphere is never great for them. Slot teases Carragher, you have that. Liverpool set new Anfield attendance record after Anfield Road edition. So 60,107. The most of any league game in the club's history. Very, very impressive. Matt Ladson had some good pictures up if you want to go and check out his Twitter page. Liverpool FC and owners host grieving Southport families at Anfield, so do check that out. It's always good to see the club reaching out and helping heal in the community. What else do we have on Liverpool.com? Probably some hopes and dreams, probably some dream endings to the window. Let's see. Slotting in inside Anfield, I saw exact reason Liverpool should be excited about Arne Slot, piece of Mamardashvili. We got the heartbreaking news today that Sven-Göran Eriksson has passed away after a battle with pancreatic cancer. Sven had announced, obviously, that he was suffering from a terminal illness. We had that wonderful moment where he was able to partially fulfill a dream by managing Liverpool in a friendly game, Aussie charity match. One of the genuine greats of the game. Yeah, I mean, look, transfers, anything else, the most important thing that's happened in football today is that Sven has passed away, and everything else is kind of secondary to that. So, let's see. They've actually got a bunch of stuff up about Sven, which is cool. So go and check all of that out. Dago C. Kopp might be the guy to follow in the next week because he has undeniably been the best source for Liverpool news over this summer window. He has a piece about Endo. He has a piece about Giorgi Mamardashvili and the details of his transfer. So it's 30 million euro with 5 million in add-ons, which, if they all hit, gives you about 29.6 million pounds, and a 10% sell-on, which is marginal and not all that important. Yeah, so this is great, and he'll stay on loan, obviously, at Valencia for a year. This is brilliant. All done, wrapped up. What else do we have here? A piece about the stadium. Curtis Jones injury update. Let's have a look. Valencia transfer gives biggest hint. Okay, yeah. There's a bunch of other bits on Mamardashvili. Piece about Joe Gomez. Now, what's Arne given us in regards to Curtis Jones and his injury? Arne Slot said It's going to be close for United, but we'll have to wait and see. It's always difficult to see how an injury revolves, if that's the right word, during the upcoming week. He's not going to be out for a long time. It's going to be close to get him there next week. And I'm quite sure he's going to do everything to try and be ready. In Holland, we always said we cannot say anything about injuries. Maybe it's different here just to do with privacy. Okay, fair enough. United looked atrocious against Brighton. Their midfield was absolutely all over the place. So there will be space to play through. It's just about courage on the ball. And if we have that, we should be able to open them up. The concern is that's a very big pitch, and it could ask quite a lot of Szoboszlai to cover ground. But the guy is a machine, so it should be okay. AnfieldWatch.co.uk. There's a piece about Sven, a piece about Lewis Kumas, who scored for Stoke at the weekend, a piece about Trent, a piece about my best friend Fabrizio. Jamie Carragher reveals why Liverpool have made no signings. He didn't actually reveal anything. He gave an uneducated guess. Jamie Redknapp reveals what will be a successful season. Jamie Redknapp doesn't reveal anything other than his very low IQ. The original himbo is Mr. Redknapp. Better than Man City? No. Better than Arsenal? No. But they're the next best. Not better than Arsenal. Let's be really honest about this. How are we not better than Arsenal? Alisson versus David Raya. It's Alisson every day. Trent versus Ben White. It's Trent every day. Ibu versus Saliba. Saliba might look the part. Ibu's a much better defender. Virgil versus Gabriel is laughable. Now, they might have the better left back. That's fair enough. Midfield, I would rather have Szoboszlai than Odegaard because of what he offers off the ball. But I can understand if people would say Odegaard. I'm taking Alexis over whoever their left-sided 8 is, even if it's Declan Rice. But I'll move Rice to the 6, even though he's not a 6, but we'll put him there because we just can't have Thomas Partey in a combined 11. And in attack, it's Salah over Saka. It's Jota over any of their 9s. And I'd rather have Diaz than Martinelli. How are they better than us? They had better injury luck last year, both for themselves and every time they played somebody else, they were missing players. How are they better than us? What are they better than us at? Their build-up play is not as good as ours is, and we've only had our manager for a couple of months. Defensively, their defensive structure is a bit better than ours because they play 4 centre-backs, a defensive midfielder, and a ball winner in Declan Rice. They play 6 defensive players. But we'll get there. And remember, even with their 6 defensive players, they're not getting close to what our defence was in 18-19 and 19-20. And I know ours tailed off at the end of that season because the players were drunk for 2 months. But look at a defensive record at 18-19. And look at how we were playing. With 4 players to defend and 6 launching forward. Whereas Arsenal play with 6 players to defend and 4 going forward. They're not better than us. They're just not. And they haven't improved enough in the summer to be better than us either. We underachieved last season because of injuries. And some poor decision making. But, it's fine. Liverpool transfer news today. Let's have a look at this. Alisson gave his seal of approval to the signing of Mamardashvili, which is positive. Alisson just seems like he has a proper head and his shoulders when it comes to being logical about stuff. Fabrizio Romano has moved to ensure Liverpool supporters that nothing has changed with regards. Like, you have to love it. You have to love it. The guy hasn't a fucking Scooby what's going on, but he wants everybody to think he knows exactly what's happening in Liverpool. So there's nonsense about Jonathan David. There's more links to Kvaratskhelia. God, I'd love Kvaratskhelia. He'd just be perfect on that left-hand side as like a left-wing 10 hybrid. Or did you see the assist at the weekend? Scored as well and was involved in the third goal. Ilkay Gundogan's return to Manchester City could pave the way for Liverpool to sign Matheus Nunes. I mean, this is just nonsense. He doesn't fit what we need at all. He's a good player, though, but he doesn't fit what we need at all. If you bought him, you'd have to play Alexis as the 6, and then Nunes and Szoboszlai either side of him, and it would just be a return to the Klopp type of midfield. Double permanent sale. Ben Doak and Tyler Morton likely to depart on permanent deals. Yeah, we've already known that for weeks. So the Echo have not revealed that, by the way. AnfieldIndex.com, a piece about Curtis Jones, one about Bobby Clark, one about how good our defence has been, lessons learned, and Anislot grabs first home win. There's a piece about Mamardashvili. And then podcast-wise, there is post-match roll, which Downey was able to make by summoning the council. This is the type of power that Trev Downey wields in the greater Navan region. He was able to summon the county council out on the weekend to fix his internet. That's startling. Like, if that was a normal person like me, you could be waiting weeks, but Trev just clicks his fingers and they come running. There's an Anfield Index Pro Plus, which is Nina and Guy having a chat about the weekend and the games that took place. And today, there is a new Media Matters. It is Dave Davis, and of course, on a Monday, it is David Lynch. So do check that out as well. And that is going to do me for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Take care of yourselves and don't do anything too stupid if we don't get what you want today or tomorrow. Give it time, let it marinate, and let's see. Richard Hughes promised us a crescendo. Let's see if the next Bond villain can deliver. Take care. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.